August in my hometown is sweltering hot even after midnight. The restaurant I just staggered out of was one of the few businesses on Main Street, not dark or boarded up. And beneath the streetlight's yellow glow, I felt like the last man on earth. I had hoped that I could drink enough to make my coworkers' office gossip and political arguments bearable. I'd been wrong. I was clinging to the streetlight, trying to decide whether to call a ride or risk walking home, when I saw her. Emma, as I remembered her, had blonde hair cut sharp along her jawline. Not the long, wild dreadlocks of the woman walking toward me. The Emma in my memories wore backwards baseball caps and baggy sweatshirts, not travel-worn crop tops and ripped black jeans. But it was impossible to mistake those freckles, that sharp chin, those mischievous green eyes, and the jagged scar just above her brow. "I think I know you," I slurred at Emma, or someone standing 300 feet behind her. "We've met." My childhood friend stopped in front of me and smiled. If I hadn't felt the wet nose of Emma's dog sniffing my hand, I'd have been sure that I was hallucinating. I squeezed the streetlight a little tighter as the world swayed. "Been a while, huh?" "You look good," I blurted without thinking. Emma looked from me to herself and back, and smirked. Her pale skin was covered with homemade tattoos, track marks, and the sticky crust of homelessness. Meanwhile, I sported a well-fed belly, freshly cut hair, new khaki shorts, a brand-name polo shirt, and photochromic glasses. If white middle-class computer programmers had an army, I was wearing its uniform. "I'm only back in town for tonight. Ma died. I had to come back to sell the house. Not like there was much to sell. Tomorrow it's back on the road again." She flashed me a sad smile and tugged on her dog's leash. "Wait," I stammered. "Want to go for a walk?" Clouds hid the almost full moon, and a misty rain began to fall. Without deciding anything, I realized that we were heading towards the house where I'd lived since my childhood. It was a 4-mile walk from Main Street, but reminiscing about the past made the distance disappear. Before I knew it, we were in front of the garden gate. I watched Emma look the place over hungrily. It had been just another peeling paint row house like the rest of them, but I'd used my savings to expand and transform it into a cozy place to live. "Hey, look, man," Emma began. "If it's not too much trouble, of course you can stay over." I held open the gate. "I'll fix us some drinks." I only drink my own stuff. Thanks," Emma replied quickly. "I got something else to share." 10 minutes later, I was frowning suspiciously at a plate of foul-smelling mushrooms, soaking in inky black syrup. I swirled the wine in my glass as Emma popped one in her mouth and took a swig from her hip flask. "Are you sure we can mix these with alcohol?" I held a mushroom up and sniffed it. "If that could kill you, I'd have died a long time ago." Emma shrugged and leaned back, that mischievous cat-like grin creeping across her face, as she dug her toes and fingers into my luxurious living room carpet. Beside the AC vent, Emma's dog snored and farted contentedly. The sober part of my mind screamed that this was a bad idea, but it hadn't been running the show for quite some time. I took 2. They were gummy, and tasted like pond scum smells, but I forced them down. "The best part of these," Emma continued, "is how they unlock your mind. Things that have been hidden from you. Other things that maybe you've hidden from yourself. Like, for example, do you remember the lake?" "Oh, yeah." I laughed nervously, wondering when the drug would kick in. "I used to go there all the time when I was a kid. I haven't been there in years. Now that I think about it," I sigh, "it feels like I haven't left town in years. Not sure why, really." But you did go to the lake when you were a teenager. With me. And with Miriam. With who? I stammered, as a flash of something dark and unrecognizable cut across my vision. Miriam. She was your best friend. You really don't remember, do you? The same thing happened to me. That's what I mean. Something made us forget. Emma? I have no idea what you're talking about. Suddenly, I felt like I was talking underwater. I tried to cross my legs and adopt a suave pose, and nearly fell over in the process. I wasn't feeling well. No, sir. Not well at all. I held onto the arms of the chair like I was lost in a storm at sea. My eyes focused on a notepad that Emma had pushed toward me. Try to write it down. You'll see. The drug was kicking in. Memories came in bits and flashes, flying past like shards of broken glass. It hurt to try to hold on to one, and when I did, it didn't make any sense. I'm 8 years old. The boys who have just shoved me to the ground and given me a Gatorade shower tell me that I'm off the team, and that they wouldn't want to be friends with a nerd who couldn't see the ball anyway. I'm still sniffling when a squat, round-faced girl steps between me and my ex-teammates. She wears her black hair in pigtails, and looks like she wants to fight. She tells the team captain that in 20 years he'll be fixing my toilet, and that I'll pay him in cash and won't even remember his name. He looks like he wants to hit her, but isn't sure if he can get away with hitting a girl. They slink away, tossing back a few insults with meanings they're too young to understand. A few years later, I'm in the unfinished basement of my house. The same house I sit in now with Emma. Playing video games with the same girl. Miriam. Now I remember. She squeals with glee as her fighter knocks mine off the map for the 100th time. Miriam came from money, but with her too large frame, too loud voice, odd clothes, and Eastern European accent, she didn't fit in with the local rich kids. So many memories from that basement. How could I have forgotten? Playing hide and seek among the junked appliances my father never got around to fixing. Catching weird bugs in mason jars. My first kiss, too, with Miriam. Both of us spitting like crazy afterwards at the grossness of it. She was my best friend. How? I gasped, snapping out of my reverie. Emma held a finger to her lips. Shh, Emma whispered. Try to focus, okay? Pre-teenagers now. Miriam and I sit in a circle in an attic, playing Dungeons and Dragons with older boys from my neighborhood. Miriam is shouting at a beefy metalhead who keeps faking his dice rolls. It's no surprise that Miriam's character is a paladin, a knight of justice and virtue. She absolutely cannot stand to let bullies and cheats get away with it. She protected me when we were younger, but lately I felt like our roles were reversed. Miriam just won't look the other way, or let things go, and doesn't see how that puts her in danger. She doesn't see the way the older boys are leering at her, while she gets red-faced and angry, like they're calculating how much stronger they are than us, and thinking of what they could do to teach us, if they really wanted. I loudly lie that my mom is waiting outside, and drag my friend away from the dim room and thirsty eyes. Autumn now. Our first year of high school. We discuss how unfair life is, as we walk in endless loops around this town we're in such a hurry to leave. Kicking through piles of sycamore leaves, we talk about bands we like, how fake everyone is, and how much better things are everywhere else. Then we see her, and we both forget what we were saying or why it mattered. As the lost memory hits me with its full intensity, I realize that Miriam and I probably both fell in love with Emma at the exact same moment. Emma stands on top of an abandoned concrete bowl, her skateboard at the ready. She pushes her backwards baseball cap tighter around her skull, breathes out, and takes the plunge. Miriam and I exchange a glance, then look down at the sidewalk, embarrassed. Weeks pass before we finally find an excuse to talk to the elusive blonde skater girl. Her board rockets towards us, and almost ends up in the road before Miriam stops it with her foot. "Thanks," Emma grunts. Miriam can't even look at her as she stands over the board. Meanwhile, my heart is pounding like it's gonna burst out of my chest. "You two sure hang around here a lot, huh?" We nod. A long silence, only broken by the sounds of leaves rustling along concrete. With a sigh, Emma turns to go, but changes her mind at the last minute. "You two want to learn how to skate?" The three of us become inseparable. When we aren't kicking around in abandoned buildings on the edge of town, or shoplifting from the local Walmart, we're in a three-way chat online. I'm the happiest I've ever been. But I also noticed a rift appearing between Miriam and I. Whether discussing cult movies or breaking the law, we're constantly trying to one-up each other. After all, we're both competing for the attention of the same girl. Thunder and a lash of rain against the window. My eyes snapped open. A summer storm. How long had I been drifting? Emma was still tripping hard. At some point, she had lit a cigarette and was tracing glowing patterns with it in the darkness. It had to be past 3 a.m. I began. Another gust of rain rattled the windows. Emma's dog, Rex, sprung up and rushed to the door. The old mutt snarled, then barked. "Uh-oh," Emma laughed. "Something wicked this way comes." I don't know if it was the tone of her voice, the raised hackles and wild eyes of her dog growling at the shadows outside my door, or the bizarre flood of memories, but I was suddenly filled with indescribable dread. I felt sure that at any moment, some dark and nameless thing would rip open the door and drag our limp, drug-addled bodies away into the night. I tried to push myself into a sitting position. No luck. I was imprisoned in a body that could barely move. I brought my trembling hand back to the scrawling notepad in front of me, and tried once again to remember. Summer of our senior year. August is a cliff we're all going to jump off of, each in a different direction. Emma is going to hitchhike to California. Miriam wants to join the Air Force. And I'm leaving for a college out of state. My best friend and I both know that if one of us has a chance with Emma, this is the last opportunity to take it. Miriam's parents have gone to the city for a few days to meet with their lawyer about some business or immigration stuff that none of us understand. What is obvious, though, is that we can take a road trip in their second car while they're both out of town. I plan the route. Emma steals the beer from a gas station. And on a foggy Friday morning, we drive off to the lake. The lake. A lot of Midwestern towns have the lake. A place you don't need to describe further, because it's the only one and everyone knows where it is. We'd been there before, but never to camp and always with adult supervision. I'd sifted through online forums until I found a campsite that looked perfect. At least in someone's blurry photo. A rocky outcrop with trails down to a red sandy beach. Nothing for miles around except for pine trees and blue water. For weeks before our trip, I daydream about skinny dipping with Emma, and what it would be like to kiss her wearing only water droplets and a suntan. We drive for about 3 hours, stopping only for gas, cooler ice, and fast food. The views slowly change from highway to endless forest, split only by dusty dirt roads. We pull off in front of one of them, and I start to navigate. These are the days before GPS, but I've come prepared with a printout of directions to the campsite, and both state and topographic maps. While the roads still have names, it's easy enough. We get excited as we catch a few glimpses of crystalline water through the trees, and crack open a few beers from the cooler. The booze is ice cold, the air filled with the smell of dust and woods, and all is well in the world. Around the time the first beer runs out, we come to a T in the road that's not on any of our maps. Miriam is sure that we should go left. I insist on going right. Heat and booze add fuel to our argument, and before long we're yelling at each other. "You're so stubborn!" I roar at Miriam. "Don't you get that nobody likes you because you can never let anything go?" "What about you?" Miriam snaps, jabbing her finger at my chest. "You're only so obsessed with being right because you want to impress her. Dyke. Asshole." The sound of cicadas is deafening. Emma scowls, and tells us we're both acting like babies, then walks around to the trunk for another beer. In the front seat, we're both red-faced and regretful. Miriam is behind the wheel. It's frustrating to know that she'll have the final say. When Emma finally slides back into the car, we get moving. To the right. I hide my surprise and try to look angry as we bump along down the weed-ridden, uneven dirt track. There are many, many more T-style intersections. Each time, Miriam looks at me expectantly. Each time, I indicate a direction, gruffly and silently. I know I should be paying more attention to the maps, checking the state map against the topographic, for example, or tracing our path with a pen, but I'm still fuming. As we pass by yet another derelict fence in yet another abandoned field, I realize that I have no idea how to get back to the highway. Everything looks the same. Red dirt, barren fields, rows of dark trees with no sign of a lake. I see the worry in Emma and Miriam's faces, but no one wants to speak first. It might ignite the argument again. With each turn, we're only becoming more and more lost. Just when I'm about to give up my pride and admit that we need to try to find a way out of this maze, blue appears between the trees. We all look at each other. Miriam carefully steers down a steep, eroded path, and a clifftop campsite comes into view, with a strip of sand and sparkling water below. The campsite from the photo. I couldn't believe it. Had we found our spot by sheer dumb luck? Emma cheers and springs from the car, before it rolls to a stop. She runs down to the lake, tears off her sweaty, dusty clothes, and dives in. "Holy shit, you guys!" Emma laughs. "It's actually warm, like bath water." Leaving the car is a huge relief, and I leave my self-consciousness and clothing behind, as I rush to join Emma in the lake. We splash each other, jump from the rocks, and float beneath cotton ball clouds in an azure sky. I'm so at peace that I don't notice Miriam has joined us, until quite some time has passed. 2 beers have gone to Emma's head. She lays half asleep on the shore as I slog back up the trail, worried. I find Miriam staring at something half buried in the sandy dirt. "What's up?" I venture. "Does this look familiar to you?" Miriam murmurs. The thing in the dirt is a tent. A stained, shredded version of the tent we currently have in our trunk. "Yeah, same as ours." "Weird. Hey, look, about earlier." "That's not all." Miriam nods to a tangle of bushes. I feel a chill, as I recognize an orange cooler exactly like ours. Its lid is broken, and it's full of dead leaves. "I don't like this place." "Are you kidding?" Emma suddenly appears behind us, and throws her arms around our shoulders. "It's perfect. Here, I'll clean the place up." Before we can stop her, Emma heaps all the discarded junk into a pile by the bushes. On my way to the car to get our supplies, something big rustles in the bushes nearby, and suddenly bolts. It's impossible to see the thing in the undergrowth, but the dark shape looks an awful lot like a person running on all fours. I nearly jump out of my skin when Miriam appears to help me with our gear. "You feel it too, don't you?" she whispers. "There's something wrong here." I respond with a non-committal grunt as I heave our tent out of the trunk. We're walking back down the path when Miriam trips over a thorny vine that I swear wasn't there before. I rush to her side and inspect the bleeding injury. "Only a flesh wound," Miriam grimaces. "Come on. If we're really doing this, let's get set up." We busy ourselves with poles and stakes while Emma gathers wood for a campfire. My eyes keep drifting to the cut on Miriam's ankle, which is an ugly, swollen shade of purple. We have another round of drinks, and sing along, badly, while Emma strums her guitar. Despite the summer heat, it's cool and breezy beneath the huge gnarled tree that gives shade to our campsite. Each time the wind blows, I hear something more than leaves rustling in the branches. I'm not sure why, but the sound reminds me of rattling bones. Around sunset, we go for a final swim. Rather than walking down the trail, Emma decides to jump from one of the campsite cliffs. When I approach the edge, the distance seems doubled, the lake darker and wilder than before. I can't make myself leap without closing my eyes, but as I plunge into the much colder, deep water, they snap open involuntarily. I'm much further down than I thought. Before me, the lake floor plunges down into blue-green gloom. In the darkness, something moves. I tell myself it must be a trick of the evening light, because nothing so large could live in the lake. I pop out of the water and take a deep breath. When I dive again, the whale-sized shadow is gone. As I come up for air, I see Miriam standing barely knee-deep in the water. I swim over. "Have you ever seen anything like that before?" Miriam gestures to something black strewn among the rocks. It's black and stringy, whatever it is, like a combination between seaweed and jellyfish. It's impossible to tell if it's one thing or many. It might be breathing, or maybe it's just moving in the tide. "Hey, you're gonna turn into a mermaid if you stay out there any longer," Miriam shouts to Emma, as I stare at the bizarre mass in front of me. Emma sticks up her middle finger and dives. I know Miriam and I are thinking the same thing. What if she doesn't come back up? It's getting cold anyway. Emma reappears, shivering in the water in front of us. She isn't wrong. The sun is almost gone, and a strong wind has turned the white fluffy clouds into an ominous gray wall. Hoots of owls and other stranger sounds accompany us as we head back to camp to start our dinner. There's something so comforting about a campfire. For thousands of years, their flickering light and smoke scent have meant warmth, food, and protection from things with sharp teeth that lurk in the night. Roasting sausages and marshmallows pushes the wrongness of this place into a dark corner of our minds. Even Miriam is acting like herself again. All bad puns and slapstick humor. She grapples me in place and presses a sausage to my upper lip, while Emma snaps a Polaroid of my hot dog mustache. Up close, I see that Miriam is pale and sweating a lot, and that she's wrapped her injury in wads of cloth. "Hey, how's your cut doing?" I ask Miriam. She angles her leg so that Emma, who is shaking the Polaroid and giggling on the other side of the fire, can't see what she's about to show me. I have to hold back a wave of nausea when I see it. The wound is purple, black, and festering, and something seems to be pulsating beneath the corrupted skin. "Shit," I hiss. "We gotta get you to a doctor." "I don't want to ruin everyone's good time," Miriam mumbles. When I protest, she holds up a hand. "Not only that, I also don't think we can leave this place so easily." "Ah! Guys, look at this!" Emma's scream interrupts our conversation. She holds up the Polaroid whose flash had illuminated the forest behind Miriam and I. There are eyes in the trees behind us. The reddish, glowing circles in Emma's photo belong to shadowy, unnatural shapes behind us. Our animal instincts demand that we freeze and listen. Over the sound of the wind blowing across the lake, we hear yelps, scuffles, and growls from the things in the woods. We'd just been too loud ourselves to notice it before. Miriam tries to stand, but nearly collapses when she tries to put weight on her wounded leg. Emma sees Miriam's injury for the first time, and gasps as a spurt of black liquid sprays from the cut. When the droplets hit the ground, the things in the trees all begin to howl at once. "Get to the car!" I shout. I grab a burning stick from the fire. Miriam does the same, and braces herself against my shoulder. Emma grabs a knife and a flashlight from beside the tent. The things scatter where the beams of light cut through the branches. We don't get a good look at them, but what we do see is enough to make us want to get the hell out of there. Fast. We leave everything behind, and scramble uphill. The effort is too much for Miriam. She vomits more of the black liquid down the front of her shirt as we pile into the car. Thunder rumbles in the clouds over the lake as Emma starts the engine. We reverse much too quickly up the steep track. Emma, panicking, forgets to release the parking brake. The wheels spin in rutted-out dirt, and one hovers over the empty air of the cliffside before we adjust our course. The car slams and lurches, but damage to the vehicle is the last thing on our minds, as Emma spins us around the way we came. We all take a moment to breathe, and I try to examine Miriam, who has collapsed against me in the back seat. The familiar smell of her sweat blends with something rotten. Her pulse is faint. When I try to open one of her eyes, she gasps and lurches awake. More of the black liquid dribbles down her chin, and we all scream when something rams into the side of the car. Emma mashes down the accelerator, and we rocket through a tunnel of closed-in, grasping trees. "It'll be okay. Stay with me. Hang on." I murmur these and other hopeful, desperate, meaningless words into Miriam's ear, while I wipe back her hair from her feverish forehead. "Which way?" Emma hollers from the front seat. Left," I respond. The truth is, I have no idea. The derelict fences, dead fields, and tree-lined dirt roads all look the same when lit by our dusty headlights. A knot forms in my throat as we reach a dead end. Well, not exactly a dead end. We roll to a stop just in front of a trail leading down to the campsite we just abandoned. There's a light inside the tent. "Turn around," I whisper. Emma doesn't need to be told twice. It's useless. No matter what combination of turns we take, even seemingly impossible ones, we end up back at the same place. Miriam still hasn't woken up. Fat raindrops have begun to fall from the clouds overhead. It was already difficult to avoid the rocks, ruts, and other obstacles in the road, but with the rain, it's nearly impossible. From Emma's white-knuckled grip on the steering wheel, I can tell she knows as well as I do that a flat tire out here would be fatal. We drive in silence, hoping that we've made some silly mistake, that there might be a sane and rational way out of this nightmare after all. Each time we come back to the same campsite, however, the sight is a little stranger, and those hopes seem a little more in vain. After the 13th loop, Emma puts the car in park and begins to cry. I can see why. Based on the fuel gauge alone, we no longer have enough gas to get back to the highway. Miriam awakes, crawls to the window, and presses a single, pale hand against it. "This place is hungry. It won't let us leave until it feeds," Miriam rasps, her back to us. "What? What are you even talking about? I'm freaked out enough already." Emma hyperventilates in the front seat. "It should be me. Miriam continues to ramble. You two are my best friends. You've got your whole lives ahead of you. If I stay, this place will let you forget. It tells me so. Inside my head. You see? Miriam sighs, slowly turning towards us. I'm part of it now. Miriam's eyes are wide open, and they are black as night. Ichor runs from her eyes, nose, and mouth. Emma looks in the rearview mirror and screams. Everything will be alright. Miriam tries to smile. As long as you forget. As long as you never come back here. Not even in your dreams. Otherwise, well... Miriam looks at her own hand as if she's never seen one before. Her fingers warp and lengthen, and her voice deepens. A part of this place is in you too. Before we can stop her, Miriam flings open the door and disappears into the storm. I'm ashamed to admit that I don't even reach for my best friend or call her name. Instead, I slam the door shut against the scuffling things that rush to get inside. Emma hits the gas, and the last I see of my best friend is a dark shape in a taillight glow, raising a hand in farewell. A hand that hardly seems human. After an hour of driving, we find ourselves back on paved roads with names and lights. The rain stops, and our fuel runs out shortly after. I've just started walking towards the light of a gas station up ahead when a police car pulls up. Apparently, the vehicle we're driving has been reported stolen by a Mr. and Mrs. Irakli Bagratoni. I knew someone with that last name. Didn't I? I can't remember. But it's good that the police are here. I have something I really, really need to tell them. What was it again? Emma yells something about Mr. Bagratoni's daughter at the gruff cop who pulls her out of the driver's seat and cuffs her. Yes, Miriam Bagratoni. That was it. Why do I know that name? The officer gruffly replies that the Bagratonis don't have a daughter. Never have. Everyone in town knows that, he says. That doesn't seem right to me, but I can't say why. My head hurts. Soon, Emma stops struggling. Maybe her head hurts too. The officers soon establish that the two of us have no idea why we're out in the middle of nowhere, in a stolen car during the worst rainstorm in decades. Later, a judge will chalk it up to a joyride and assign us both community service. I don't see much of Emma after that. Until I run into her one boozy night outside a bar, and she invites me to take a strange drug that brings the past back to life. Sudden movement caused my eyes to snap open. I looked from the black liquid of the mushrooms to the freak rainstorm battering my windows. Both now seem horribly familiar. Emma walked toward the hallway, where her dog was barking madly. My God, I gasped. What have I done? Remembering has its price, Emma replied. She muscled her dog aside, and I realized with horror that she was going to open the front door. Stop! I lurched woozily to my feet. The world spun. Emma's dog bit into her baggy black jeans, trying to pull her away from whatever waited in the storm outside. I felt the key still in my pocket, and charged at the door. Before I could reach it, Emma slammed me against the wall. In the peal of lightning that illuminated the hallway, I saw that her black eyes reflected no light. Remembering has its price, Emma repeated, her voice strangely altered. Miriam warned us. Since the first time I took them, and remembered what happened out there, I knew one of us was going to have to pay the price for that knowledge. That's why I came back. Because it should be you. What are you talking about? I grunted as we wrestled. It was all your idea. You're the one who led us. And you're the one who left Miriam to die. Emma cried, ebony tears running down her bony cheeks. I never wanted to go to that damn lake. I only went because I felt sorry for you two. You were both so into me, and I didn't know how to say no. Now one of us is gonna get dragged back to that awful place. And it isn't gonna be me. Emma was clearly much more accustomed to operating while on drugs than I was. It didn't take much for her to knock me to the floor, dazed. Her hand tightened around the doorknob. I can't be sure what happened next. I had already been hallucinating quite a bit, and I couldn't distinguish what was real from the effects of the drug. Emma threw open the door to the stormy night, grabbed me by the shirt collar, and dragged me toward the threshold. Her dog sank its teeth into my left shoe and pulled in the other direction, as if he knew there was something out there. Emma roared and pulled harder, until I was half in, half out of my own house. In the tempest outside, the inky rain seemed to take on a shape. That of a tall, large-framed girl who I once knew as Miriam. The sight made us both stop struggling. Hovering inches above the drenched pavement, it floated toward us, and reached out a freakish, six-fingered hand. I tugged hard to pull Emma back inside. She tugged harder to heave me toward the living storm. As I tumbled out into the deluge, Emma slipped. Her fingertip barely brushed the outstretched claw. The moment Emma's fingers touched the rainy figure, both disappeared into the storm and into the night. When I woke up this morning, sprawled out on my soaked welcome mat beside a pool of vomit, I thought I must have dreamed it all. Then, I took a look at the notes I'd taken and made a few decisions. Firstly, I'm going to keep and care for this dog. Secondly, I'm going to type up the story and share it. And thirdly, after I do that, I'm going to forget all about it. I have another chance to live in the present rather than the past. And I'd be a fool not to take it. Hey everybody. This Friday, May 9th at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'll be doing a live stream right here on Jordan Grupe Horror YouTube channel. As a celebration of 60,000 subscribers, I wanted to spend about an hour chatting with you all and answering any questions you might have, as well as sharing a bit about my process and a few special announcements. There are a few new things coming around the corner, and I've been really excited to share them with all of you. So come join me Friday, May 9th at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here. And if you missed the stream, you can still watch it in the live section on the channel homepage, as well as the previous live stream I did for 10,000 subscribers. Thanks everyone for your support, and I hope to see you all this Friday, to chat and get to know you all better, and to answer your questions live. See you there! Become a channel member today for early access, bonus videos, and special emojis only available to members. Check out the description below or click the join button for more info. If you'd like another way to help support the channel, please consider joining my Patreon page at patreon.com/Jordan Grupe Horror. As a patron, you'll get access to bonus videos and content. You'll be credited at the end of every video going forward, and if you decide to stay for 3 months, I'll name a character after you which will be featured in a Hollow's End story. Links to join the Patreon are in the description. Thanks everyone for listening. Please like, subscribe, and comment to help the channel continue to grow, and see you again next time at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope you have a great night.